Um, I'll just speak while they're setting up Roy Ashok's computer. I just want to, this is Roy Ashok, and he's from Qualcomm, and his title, which is long, so I'm going to read it. Staff Manager, Business Development, responsible for the core Vuforia product management. The latter is very important because anyone here who's used Vuforia? So we don't have, oh yes, good, up at the back. If you've used Vuforia, you know what an enabling product this has been, platform this has been for this space. And Qualcomm actually won the SDK Orgi last night. And one of the things that the judges said again and again is it was usability, usability, usability. And the usability was 100% in its core features. And also it's free. So thank you, Qualcomm, for both supporting this conference and that awesome SDK.
Hello? Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Tish, for that very kind introduction. So my talk is going to be a little bit different, not so much on the gaming aspect, but more about how a major toy manufacturer like Lego, one of the world's largest toy makers, is using augmented reality today, and actually in a very fun and engaging way across all their sales channels and products. So for those of you who are not familiar with Vuforia, it's a developer-facing software platform from Qualcomm. It's what we call, it allows your apps to see all kinds of objects in the real world and interact with them. Today we have more than 60,000 developers, and more than 4,000 applications have been built with Vuforia for both Android and iOS. So fundamentally, there are three kinds of experiences that we enable. There's gaming and play, instructional and educational experiences, and then interactive media. So gaming and play is all about taking play experiences on your phone and now experiencing them in the real world, so you can look at them from different directions and interact with them in really different ways, where you zoom in or zoom out, or you can actually move around and experience augmented content in the real world. And play is about extending physical toys. You play with your toys, but then you put it aside and then play with your phone. And increasingly, what we're seeing is parents hand their devices over to their children, especially their older devices, and kids are just spending a lot of time with those phones and tablets. So how do you bridge these two experiences? And I think there's a lot of things that toy makers are doing today that's exciting. Instructional and educational applications, there are lots of examples right at this conference, including the Anatomy 4D application downstairs, which shows off an anatomically accurate model of the human body, and it can be a nice educational tool. But the bulk of the traction we're seeing today in this space is in interactive media, where a number of brands are building AR experiences that sort of blur the line between just sort of traditional, simple AR experiences where you put some content on a piece of paper or an object into almost play-like branded games, as we call them. And it's really good because AR has this ability to drive brand engagement at the point of interest or advertising, the point of sale, and the point of use after you buy this product and bring it home. So it's a nice way to connect that whole product life cycle. And what we're seeing is, or at least in Vuforia apps, is a number of ways for bridging these digital and physical environments. There's mobile storefronts on catalogs like Ballard, and bringing the best of the online shopping experience right in store with American Apparel. There's sometimes AR is part of the core product experience itself, as in Band-Aid, where you can have a fun experience right on the actual Band-Aid itself. There's retail engagement. For those, these are some of the newer apps with Spider-Man and Man of Steel and Man of Steel is really new, right in Walmart. But if you go back last year, there was the Avengers app in Walmart where you could drive retail foot traffic to different parts of the store. So it was some kind of a scavenger hunt where you could go and discover elements and take pictures with them and experience it, different characters from the movie. So it was really good at driving people into the store, but also to different parts of the store. this product visualization, and we'll talk more about the Lego case specifically. There are companions to magazines, the play experience, just taking that with like the Littlest Pet Shop, which is built by Gameloft, allows you to unlock content that comes with the physical toy right in the digital game, the virtual game itself. So really, really interesting use of sort of image recognition and AR in general. And then there's education, I think we talked about a little bit. So I'm going to show you a quick video of Vuforia applications. For those of you who have already seen this twice before, it's good reinforcement. But so sorry, this is my third talk at this conference. But for the rest of you, I think what it'll show you is a breadth of experiences that are possible with Vuforia across all those categories that we talked about, and also the different brands. These are mainstream brands and indie developers using Vuforia again and again. So let me quickly do that. So thank you for sitting through that. But hopefully that gave you a good sense of the different applications and the types of rich experiences that you can build with Vuforia. So moving on to how Lego is using Vuforia today, right? Their objectives with the Lego Connect app were all about taking the customer on a shopping journey, right? Almost a magical experience across their different channels, and along the way helping them with product discovery, interaction, in a very game-like fashion almost. And then ultimately converting them into customers. So it was across everything, but ultimately the idea was tremendous product engagement with some notion of sales conversions. So if you look at Lego, how they sell their products, they are in all kinds of retail stores. They have a number of partners, but they also have their own retail stores with a lot of foot traffic. They also have a significant web presence, and a lot of that is mobile. And if I had to hazard a guess, I'm sure that mobile growth rate is pretty high. But they also reach customers through catalogs. And I think this is where they really wanted to start the experience and connect with their customers. So they started with the January issue of the catalog, and they wanted the experience to be very interactive, very easy to use. It had to just work, right? And you had to have these different kinds of experiences that range from really rich 3D experiences to simple image recognition that connected them to their web storefront. But what they also realized is that their customers go as young as although their traditional customers go as young as 1 or 2 years old, the customers who were using these applications were, up 7 years old all the way to adults. So when someone that young is using a device, you can't expect them to hold these things perfectly. So it just had to work and work really, really well. The content had to be anchored to the target or the image. It had to be broadly available on Android and iOS. And then in the back end, the way they manage their content, the sheer number of images that they had to add to the databases and manage that whole workflow had to be very, very seamless and easy. And it really had to work with all their existing CMS, right? They have a number of applications already out there. They have a number of 3D models for all their products. So how do you make that work across this broad set of devices in a very efficient way? So if you look at, this is the results from their case study. They had about, the retention rate was pretty high. It had about 24,000 return users. And this represents about 25% of the users who initially downloaded the application. And each of these 25% of users, the average engagement, the engagement ranged from 4 to 10 minutes. That's a lot. That's a lot. If you think about it, I'm looking at this page and these models and how they're constructed from different angles for, 10 minutes, that's quite a bit. So there's a lot of things there that even though the experiences themselves were sort of simplistic in just that they were 3D animations, I think there's a lot they can do there as they move forward in terms of actually being, for example, to build that model out or to share those experiences with different people. The app has been really well received both on Google and the Apple App Store. So here's some feedback from Lego. Clearly exceeded all their expectations, but I think what it also did was open their eyes to a whole range of possibilities with Vuforia, not just across their catalogs, but across their other sales channels, because those things that appear in the catalog, the images that appear in the catalog can also appear in store or on their products, and suddenly the products themselves become pretty much digital storefronts without having to stand in line or go to a website. Lego did work with Quad Graphics, which is a commercial printer. They worked with their digital division to actually build this application. So here's some good feedback from Quad too. So with that, I can take some questions. I did want to say one other thing. We do have a developer conference in September where we traditionally have a lot of Vuforia announcements, and this year is no exception. We'll have some really interesting things in the play space. Questions?
Right. So while John gets set up, do we have any questions? At the back, right at the back. I know there's some Vuforia developers if they haven't gone. Hands up the Vuforia developers. See, I'm going to ask you a question. So what did you do with Vuforia? I'm going to have to give you the mic if I ask that.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Would you, while John sets up, would you like to say something? I'll bring you the mic.
Excuse me.
Oh,
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Yeah, I think Roy did a great job of kind of talking through the relationship with Lego. For them, it's a big educational challenge, even internally as well, getting folks in different divisions in a very large organization to understand what capabilities are out there. And I think it's beholden on us and beholden on Qualcomm to come forward with the new opportunities, because every meeting that we have with Jordan, he's constantly asking what's new, what's possible that we're not thinking of, and ultimately they have no other source for that information. So it's a great opportunity.